what I would consider, or what I would suggest a lot of first-time homebuyers do, especially young folks, is you might have some friends that would be more than happy to share your house with. We call this house hacking, where you rent out some rooms to some people you wouldn't mind being roommates with. They help you make your payment. And so they're helping you build equity in your house. It's called house hacking. You should check that out. I did a video on it. What video did I do on that? It was it was a video I did on young kids and having to do with credit score. But I also got into house hacking. Challenge is you don't want to commit to too much. Like I said, you have a lot of years ahead of you that whatever you don't spend, you can put towards savings and get compounding. And the more years you have compounding, the better off you're going to be in the long run. Doesn't mean you need to necessarily, scrimp and save and not ever spend any money or have any fun. I'm not arguing that at all. But when it comes to housing needs, oftentimes we just spend too much on a house. When you get I don't know how big this house is you're looking at, but let's just say you're a single person. You don't necessarily need a whole lot of space, okay? So if you buy a 2,000 square foot house, and let's say it's got 3 bedrooms, you mostly use 1 bedroom. You're paying for all of that extra space, and you're not really putting it to use. You may end up buying stuff and keeping it just because you have the space. So you end up sitting on stuff that you wouldn't normally need to sit onto or hang onto just because you have the space and you have the room to set it aside. There's a lot of videos that I do where I talk about maximizing your cash flow. And one of the things that we try to do to maximize cash flow is to get rid of junk. You don't need to rent storage space for it. Most stuff you don't really need that often. And like I have a hard time with this myself. But because for me, I'm cheap. If I buy something, I think, I might use that in a couple of years. I need to keep it still. And of course, I don't use it in a couple of years. And I think about it again in a couple of years, and I say the same thing. Meantime, it's just taking up space. Takes up time, constantly having to move things, find more other space. All of that space costs money. Okay? All of that space costs money. If it's serving you well, fine. If you can afford it, no big deal. I'm just talking about ways to maximize the space in your life, because every square foot costs more money, especially in taxes. You got property taxes down there. I imagine they're not cheap. The larger the house, the more the property taxes. Now, perhaps maybe you're looking at an area that is cheaper in property taxes. Might be worth it to have that extra drive if it lowers your cost in that regard, allows you to buy a bigger house for the same space, whatever the situation. Regardless, these are all just things that I suggest you think about when you're trying to determine what is going to be the best type of housing to meet your needs. The average time that people spend in a house before moving is less than 7 years. So that's something to consider also. You're young. You're not necessarily looking for a house that you're going to spend the next 60 years in. You just need a house that you're going to spend the next 5 years in. All right? I hope you found value in today's video. If you'd like to find out more about IUL and whole life, check out these videos right over here, and we'll see you next time. Now go maximize your cash flow.